She said she was catching a red-eye to Dallas for a client pitch. I believed her until I saw her car parked 2 doors down in the neighbor's driveway. Headlights off, engine running. My name's Ben. I'm 34, and I live in a quiet suburb just outside Columbus, Ohio. You know the kind of place, clean lawns, grocery carts neatly returned, kids on scooters, and neighbors who wave just enough to not seem nosy. I work in it, not the glamorous just your average help desk supervisor for a mid-sized insurance firm. I fix email issues, reset passwords, make sure Barbara from accounting doesn't accidentally click on phishing links. It's repetitive, it's thankless, but it pays the bills. I've always been low maintenance. I don't need fancy vacations or luxury cars. Give me a backyard, a charcoal grill, and Sunday football, and I'm golden. And then there was Claire. She was the kind of woman who could walk into a room, instantly change the temperature. Confident, polished, smart as hell. We met at a mutual friend's 4th of July cookout 7 years ago. I was manning the grill, trying to keep chicken from drying out in 90-degree heat. She walked over in a navy sundress and asked if I needed help. I handed her a pair of tongs. She never gave them back. Claire was in marketing, high energy, always pitching something, always on the move. She had this laugh that made people turn around just to see who it belonged to. And I was the quiet guy who started showing up to every party just to hear that laugh again. We started dating a few weeks later. It was easy, natural. We shared a Spotify playlist full of late 90s alternative rock and moody indie covers. Our first apartment had a leaky sink and one working AC unit, but we danced in the kitchen like it was a ballroom. When we got married 4 years ago, we weren't rich, but we were solid. Team us. We had our little rituals: takeout Fridays, Sunday, Target runs, watching old episodes of The Office before bed. We rescued a scruffy mutt named Milo who liked to bark at his own reflection. She called me B, like the letter, and I called her C, like some shorthand for chemistry. But lately, the chemistry started feeling like a formula. Couldn't solve. It began small, subtle. She started working late more often. Quarterly pitch decks, she said. Then came the locked phone. Texts she swiped away too fast. The new perfume spicier. Unfamiliar. She brushed it off, said it was a sample she got at Sephora. I tried not to overthink it. I mean, we were adults. Trust matters, right? But then she started traveling more. A lot more. New clients in Chicago, Dallas, even a women in leadership summit in Nashville. She'd pack meticulously, make color-coded itineraries, and leave. Little notes for me to feed Milo she always left on a Thursday. Always came back on Sunday. Always said she missed me, but her hugs got shorter in her eyes. They didn't linger like they used to. Still, I told myself it was just stress, work burnout. She'd snap out of it. Until one night, I was walking Milo down our block, same route we always took hand. I passed the Thompsons' house. It's 2 doors down. That's when I saw it. Claire's silver Corolla, parked in their driveway. Lights off. Engine humming like it had just pulled in. She wasn't supposed to be in town. She was supposed to be in Dallas, pitching to some tech startup about brand expansion. And yet, there she was. My heart didn't race. It stopped. I felt it a slow, sharp freeze inside me, like ice spreading in my lungs. I crouched behind the hedges, tugged Milo's leash tight, and just watched. The front door opened, and what I saw next made my throat close so hard I couldn't breathe. The front door opened, and out stepped Jeremy Thompson, our neighbor. He was wearing a black hoodie and sweatpants. No shoes. He jogged out to her car casually, like this was a routine. Like my wife, Claire, parking in his driveway after dark wasn't suspicious at all. They didn't kiss. That would have been too obvious. But she smiled at him, that slow, soft kind of smile, the one she used to give me before she'd crawl into bed after a long day. Smile that once meant love, warmth, home. He leaned into her window, said something. She laughed. Then she shut the engine off and got out. She had her weekender bag in one hand and her purse slung over the other shoulder. He took the bag from her. Just like that. Like a goddamn gentleman. They walked inside together. No hesitation. No looking over their shoulders. No. Shame. I stood there, crouched in a stranger's hedges with my dog and my disbelief. I wasn't angry yet. Anger needs time to boil. What I felt in that moment was hollow, like my ribs were an empty room, echoing the word why over and over. I walked back home without remembering how my feet moved. Milo kept glancing at me like even he knew something had shattered. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even sit down. Instead, I pulled out my laptop, logged into our shared cell phone account, and looked up the call and text records. There they were, Jeremy's number. Dozens of texts, mostly late at night, short calls during the day. A 3-hour call the week before her work trip. She'd labeled him as JT Work Mentor in her contacts. She thought she was clever. By the time sunrise bled into the blinds, I had her whole fiction mapped out like a detective tracing red string across a corkboard that morning. She texted me from Dallas. Presentation went great. I'll call you tonight. Love you. I stared at my screen, bile rising in my throat. I didn't reply. Instead, I called into work and took a personal day. Then another. And another. Over the next week, I became someone I didn't recognize. Someone methodical. Obsessed. Quietly unraveling the woman I thought I knew, I began gathering proof. Screenshots of phone records. I synced our old iPad and waited. Sure enough, her iMessages rolled in. Most were dull. But Jeremy's name popped up enough times to sting. Can't. Wait to see you again, Ben? Has no idea. I swear he's so oblivious, lol. Next time we go away, let's actually leave the neighborhood that one nearly broke me. I started noticing all the other signs I'd ignored. She changed her phone passcode 3 weeks ago. She stopped sharing. Her calendar, she always kept her phone screen down. She'd started locking the bathroom door just to check her texts. I realize now, and worst of all, she started making me feel like the problem. The night before her last trip, I'd casually asked if she was excited. Her face changed, cold, annoyed. Ben, can you not be so clingy? It's a work trip. You always do this. You get weird and needy every time I leave. Weird and needy, I had nodded. Said nothing. Let her believe her lie. She gaslit me into believing I was insecure while she was screwing our neighbor 2 doors down. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more. Not just proof. I needed impact. That Saturday, she was supposed to return from Dallas around noon. I set up a motion-triggered camera across from the Thompson driveway and synced it to my phone. At 11:48 a.m., her Corolla pulled in. Again. She stepped out. Same duffel bag. Same smug calm. Jeremy didn't come out this time. Maybe they were getting more careful. But not careful enough. I had everything I needed, and I had a plan. The idea hit me like a light bulb, flickering on in a dark, bitter room. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to throw her stuff out the window or smash anything that wouldn't hurt me more than it. Hurt her. I was going to show her. I wanted the moment to be quiet, controlled. I wanted it to feel surgical, like she was being dissected with her own lies. So I waited. I let her come home. She walked through the door that Saturday like nothing had happened. Hair tousled, sunglasses still on, talking about how exhausted she was from all the client drama. I nodded and smiled. I even offered to order Thai for lunch. She kissed me on the cheek and I pretended not to feel the disgust. Crawl over my skin like ants. That night, we watched a movie together. She curled up next to me on the couch. I could feel her heart beat against my side. For a second, I wondered if this was what sociopathy felt like. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. She was still asleep, hair messy, face peaceful. Like she hadn't just detonated the foundation of our life. I took a long walk with Milo and came back with coffee. I handed hers to her gently, said I had a surprise. Told her to get dressed, we were going to brunch. She loved brunch. It was her favorite ritual. Eggs Benedict, mimosas, that bougie almond croissant she always Instagram-med. She got excited, took her time picking an outfit. Wore the lavender blouse I once bought her for her birthday. Said I had. Good taste, I agreed. We drove to a local spot 20 minutes away, Wyatt. tucked in an old converted barn with warm lighting and linen napkins. She was all smiles, we ordered. She was mid-sentence about a fake team meeting in Dallas when I interrupted her. "Hey," I said, "can I show you something?" She blinked. "Sure." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out my phone, opened the Photos app, tapped a folder labeled Claire Lies. I slid the phone across the table. She stared. The first image, her car in Jeremy's driveway, headlights glowing. The next, a screenshot of her messages to him. The next, a screen recording of her call log. Another photo, and another. All time-stamped. All damning. Her face changed instantly. The blood drained from her cheeks like water down a sink. She tried to speak, but her mouth just hung open for a second too long. "Ben," she began. I held up a hand. "No, just let it play." I watched her watch her own betrayal unravel in the palm of her hand, frame by frame, message by message, lie by lie. When the last video ended, I took my phone back. The table was silent. All around us, couples clinked glasses, laughed, talked about vacation plans. But our table might as well have been in a vacuum. She leaned in, whispered, "Can we talk about this at home?" I shook my head slowly. "No, Claire, this is where it ends." Her eyes widened. "You're making a scene." I almost laughed. "No, you made the scene. I'm just turning up the lights." Then I pulled out the last twist. I emailed that folder to Jeremy's wife. "This morning." Turns out she replied, "Nice woman. Very understanding. You'll be hearing from her soon." Claire's fork slipped from her hand, landed with a soft clatter. I stood, dropped 2 20s on the table, and looked her straight in the eye. "You're not coming home with me." I walked out without waiting for a response. As I stepped into the parking lot, the cold wind slapped my face, and for the first time in weeks, I felt alive. I drove straight to a friend's place where I'd moved some bags the night before. I'd already transferred money to a separate account, backed up everything important, and logged out of every shared platform we had. Claire tried to call me 6 times that night. I didn't answer. The next morning, she came home to an empty house. I'd left a note on the kitchen table. Nothing dramatic, just a plain sheet of printer paper that read, "You lied. I know everything. Don't contact me again unless it's through a lawyer." By noon, she had blown up my phone with texts. "Please, Ben, can we just talk?" Messed up, I know, but I love you. It didn't mean anything. It was just, I felt alone. I never stopped loving you. Every message felt like someone tossing pebbles at a glass window, already shattered, pointless. Too late. The woman who once made my playlists, called Milo our first son, who planned road trips to national parks and talked about baby names. In the dark was now the woman who lied with a straight face while sleeping with our neighbor, and now she wanted to rewind the tape. No, I went silent. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. I didn't want the house, didn't want the car. I just wanted out. To her credit, or maybe because her lawyer advised her she didn't fight it. She signed the papers quicker than I expected. But the fallout went deeper than just her and me, Jeremy's wife. Melissa found me on Facebook. She sent me a message that just said, "I got the email. Thank you. I had no idea. You saved me." She attached screenshots of her own discoveries, years of betrayal. Apparently, Claire wasn't Jeremy's first affair. Melissa left him, took their kids, and moved back in with her parents in Michigan. I ran into Jeremy 1 week after Claire moved out. I was at the gas station near our street. He walked in as I was paying for a coffee. He froze when he saw me. I didn't say a word, just stared at him. He had the decency to look ashamed. Couldn't hold eye contact for more than a second. Then, as I walked out, I said something I didn't plan. I just felt it rise up like steam. "Hope it was worth it, man." He didn't respond. Claire tried again. A month later, he emailed me from a different account, said she was in therapy, wanted to apologize, offered to meet just to talk. She even attached a long message about accountability and how she couldn't forgive herself. I didn't reply. I was in therapy, tutorial therapy, not a guilt trip in a Gmail draft. I was learning how to trust again, How to sleep without waking up thinking it was all a dream. How to untangle 7 years of we from the me I used to be. Friends were split. Some stayed neutral. Few dropped off the radar completely. I got a message from one of Claire's old coworkers, someone I barely knew. She said she always thought something was off, but didn't know how to say it. Turns out Claire and Jeremy weren't even discreet in their own friend circles. I was just the last to know. That humiliation, that burn of being the last, it doesn't leave easily. But here's the thing. Day by day, it gets quieter. Milo and I moved to a small rental house across town. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I painted the walls a soft gray, got new furniture, started cooking again. I even bought a record player and began collecting old vinyl stuff I used to love before we met, before I made everything about her. Stopped asking why and started asking, what now? Strange how fast a life can break and how slow it is to rebuild one. Some mornings, still wake up expecting her to be there until I see the sunlight hitting just one pillow. And I remember, the silence doesn't hurt anymore. Now it feels like space. Breathing room. I won't pretend like I'm fully healed. That I've figured it all out. It's tied it up with some grand lesson or poetic bow. But I'm not that man who crouched behind a hedge, watching his wife sneak into another man's house either. I'm learning to be alone without feeling lonely. Learning that peace doesn't come from answers, it comes from acceptance. I used to think forgiveness meant letting someone off the hook. Now I think it's letting yourself walk away from the hook entirely. Claire made her choices. I made mine. The best choice I ever made was walking away before her lies swallowed me whole. I still take Milo for walks, same leash, same routes. But now I look people in the eye. When I pass them, there's something honest in my steps again. And yeah, she got the house, but I got my peace. And that, as it turns out, is the better deal. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and subscribe. For more real-life stories like this,